Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand how our governors of different states in India, they are appointed. Okay, now the reason why we are discussing this is because on March the 5th, the President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu, she made multiple changes across the governors or Raj Bhavans across the country. The most significant of these were the removal or the resignation of the former governor of West Bengal, Mr. C.V. Anand Bose, and ultimately he will be replaced by then governor of Tamil Nadu, Mr. R.N. Ravi. Now, Mr. R.N. Ravi, when he was the governor of Tamil Nadu, he has been under multiple controversies, and that is why this matter became a news of national importance, so much so that the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Ms. Mamata Banerjee, she expressed shock over this appointment and also alleged that the Union Home Minister did not consult her before the appointment of a new governor in West Bengal. So in our today's video, we'll try to understand what is the process of appointment of governors, and really is this a constitutional requirement for union government to consult the state government before appointing a governor. And we'll also look into multiple aspects of this discussion on how the office of governor is being subject to multiple controversies, not just in the past few years, but since the time this office was restored when Indian constitution was enacted. Okay, now the notes which I will be using in our today's session, in case if you want to download them, you can go to a particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live, and while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So let us start by understanding the important constitutional provisions which allow for appointment of a governor in the state. First, it is Article 153 of the Constitution, which says there shall be a governor in the state. And in 7th Constitutional Amendment, which was done in 1956, this particular amendment allowed for a particular governor of a state to simultaneously hold a charge as a governor for different states in India. So presently, a governor, if he is appointed, he can be a governor of multiple states at one particular time. Similarly, there is Article 155 of the Constitution, which says governor of a state will be appointed by who? By President of India under his warrant of hand and seal. So it is the President of India who appoints the governor. Now, before we move on to Article 156, let us first cover Article 157. Article 157 lays down the qualification that you require in order to become governor of a particular state. This states that he or she should be a citizen of India. They must have completed 35 years of age. They should not hold any office of profit under any government, be it union or state government, and they cannot be a member of parliament or any state legislature. So these people, they are eligible to become governor of a particular state. In case they are member of a legislature, be it parliament or state legislature, they need to resign from office before they can become the governor. Okay, so these are the qualifications. As I said, now let us cover Article 156 because it is more relevant from our today's discussion perspective. Article 156 says that the governor who is appointed by President of India should hold the office during the pleasure of the president. So usually the term of office for a governor in India is of 5 years, but he or she serves at the pleasure of president who is also appointing the governor. Now, what does this statement actually mean? This statement means that president, in case if they withdraw the pleasure, then the governor who is in a particular state must resign from office, and this is what means they serve as per the pleasure of president. So their normal tenure is 5 years, but before the completion of the tenure, if the president withdraws their approval or pleasure, the governor must resign from office, and this is very important as far as our today's discussion is concerned. Now, what do you think? Is the president exercising his constitutional discretion or exercising her constitutional discretion when it comes to appointment of governor? The answer is no. President, in most cases, they are bound by the aid and advice of Council of Ministers of the state, because India is a parliamentary democracy, and therefore when president himself or herself is appointing a particular governor, they are doing so because the union government has recommended them for the same. So this makes it clear that as far as appointment of a governor is concerned, there is a constitutional requirement that the appointment made by the president will be done based on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers of Union Government, and therefore there is no constitutional requirement for the union government to consult the state government for the same. But this does not mean that there should not be any consultation at all, because there is a healthy convention that has said that there is a space of discussion before making the appointment to an office of governor, the union government should consult the state governments, and this is a healthy cooperative federalism. So much so that there was a convention that a panel of around 3 potential candidates will usually be sent by the state government to a central government, that is Home Ministry, and Home Ministry will pick a future governor of a state based on these 3 potential names that have been forwarded to it by the state government. So this is the scope for healthy consultation between union and state governments. Now there are many experts who have called for amendment of the constitution so that to include this kind of an institutional mechanism in the constitution itself, because if you follow constitution right now, it only allows appointment of a governor by the president based on aid and advice of council of ministers of the union government without the consultation. So as to make this convention a constitutional norm, you need a constitutional amendment, and this has been recommended by multiple commissions. For example, there was this Sarkaria commission whose report came in 1988. There was this Punchi commission whose report came in 2010. Both of these important commissions which deal with center state matters, they have recommended in the past that you need to institutionalize this practice by amending Article 155, which would allow central government to compulsorily consult the chief minister of a particular state before appointing a governor in the state. Similarly, it was National Commission for Working of the Constitution, NCRWC, which was appointed in 2002. It went a step beyond what Punchi and Sarkaria Commission had recommended. NCRWC said that you need to amend Article 155 as well as Article 156, which will make appointment of a governor through an institutionalized selection committee. This commission recommended that you should create a selection committee which would include Prime Minister, Union Home Minister, Lok Sabha Speaker as well as Chief Minister of a particular state for appointment of the governor. So this has been what multiple commissions have recommended in order to institutionalize this method of cooperation between central and the state. But even present, no recommendations have been made or applied in practice, and therefore the appointment of the governor remains the sole prerogative of whom? Of the union government. Now let us understand what are the powers that the governor has. Now governor is envisaged as a apolitical head by the Constitution of India who serves as a governor of the state, but they are bound by aid and advice of Council of Ministers of the state government. Now, governor of a particular state enjoys many discretionary powers. Some of them come from the constitution itself. Some of them are situational discretionary powers. For example, the governor of a state has the power to give or withhold the assent to a particular bill which has been passed by the state legislature. Similarly, the governor of the state can determine the time which is needed for a political party to prove their majority on the floor of the house. And this kind of a power becomes very crucial because in case of a hung assembly, there is no particular party who commands a majority. So it is the governor's discretion on who they want to invite in order to form the government. And these are very important constitutional as well as situational discretion, which makes the position of governor a very important position as far as Indian polity is concerned. Similarly, if you look at it, the extent of powers that the governor has enjoyed in multiple times they have been brought into question. For example, if you can remember, just few years back, Mr. R.N. Ravi itself was in controversy because he delayed giving accent to a bill which has been passed by Tamil Nadu state legislature, and this matter ultimately reached the Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India used extraordinary power under Article 142 of the Constitution to say that when governor delays in giving accent of a bill, this is unconstitutional. So much so that using its extraordinary power, the Supreme Court imposed timelines both on governor and president in order to give assent to any bill passed by the state legislature. Now this decision of Supreme Court of India became very controversial, and ultimately President, using her power of presidential reference under Article 143, asked certain questions to Supreme Court of India, and a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court of India gave the judgment which said that no timelines can be fixed for president or governor when it comes to giving accent to a state legislature bill. But at the same time, this presidential reference and the opinion of the Supreme Court, it also said that limited judicial scrutiny which is necessary for prolonged and unexplained and indefinite delay in granting of accent is necessary. So is it completely outside judicial review? No. It is subjected to judicial review, although no timelines are bound on the governor as well as president, but still governor can't use this situational discretion to indefinitely delay any bill passed by the state legislature. Now let us consider what are the reasons of friction, why the office of governor particularly, and a state government which is usually ruled by the opposition party always in friction. And the reason is the constitutional provisions. As we have seen, governors, they are appointed and removed by central government, so they eventually become appendages of the central government, so much so that many times they have been called as agents of the central government. Now some have questioned the very nature of governor's appointment for the reason of this friction, and as you can realize, even the the Constituent Assembly was deliberating over the matter whether the governor should be an appointed functionary or they should be an elected functionary. Now, you need to understand India essentially remains a parliamentary democracy, both at the central level as well as the state level. So, the head of the state or the head of the government of the state usually is the elected functionary who is member of legislature, becomes the chief minister. Now, in case if you make governor also an elected functionary, this would create two different centers of power, and that is why the Constituent Assembly was not in favor of elections, right? And they were also of the opinion that governor in day-to-day matters will always be bound by the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. So why do you need to conduct an election separately for the governor? Even Jawaharlal Nehru was of the same opinion. Understand? So this has been the multiple opinions of various commissions. Now what you need to understand, although on one hand, Constitution of India wants this office to become apolitical in nature, that you shouldn't deal with matters of party politics once you become a governor of the state. But you need to understand the person who have been appointed as governor, they are usually politicians. And in many cases, you'll realize after they have discharged their tenure as a governor, they have resigned from office and they have contested elections again. So the office may be apolitical, but the person who's been appointed to it is political in nature, and ultimately they are answerable to whom? Are they answerable to state government? No. They are only answerable to union government, because it is the union or central government which decides on their appointment, which has the power to withdraw or ask the president to withdraw their pleasure. So ultimately it is the governor who discharges the office based on what the central government wants. And this is essentially the course of friction, so much so that whenever governor is being appointed by a political party who rules the central government and the state government is ruled by another political party which is an opposition party, this creates an avenue for conflict. Understood? Now this is what I wanted to have discussions around. Now the topic that we covered right now, the office of governor, is a very important topic as far as polity syllabus is concerned, and you should be very serious about the polity subjects. Now you can take admissions in one of our resolution batches. We teach not just polity but all the important subjects of UPSC, and there are separate batches which are being offered for students looking to give exams in 2027 as far as 2028. Take admissions as soon as possible, and do not forget, if you apply the code ATS Live, you are going to get maximum discounts on all the courses. Foundation courses, optional subjects, and foundation courses, by the way, are offered in multiple languages, English, Hindi, as well as in bilingual format. So decide accordingly, do not delay. The batch is going to start from 7th of March, few days from now, and you can take admissions as soon as possible. Now, this is the question that have appeared in the UPSC exam in 2013. You are asked to find out a correct statement out of these four. Similarly, another question appeared in 2019. Both of these questions can be easily solved. As far as our today's discussion is concerned, do let me know the correct answers in the comment section, and if you want to download the notes, they will be made available on this particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. So this is all from my side for today. Please have a very good night. We'll see each other again quite soon.